Who is Ser Jon Roxton? House of the Dragon's boldest knight explained. Spoiler warning. Before we begin, this video contains major spoilers for House of the Dragon Season 3, including new characters introduced in the series and their roles in the Dance of the Dragons. We'll also be discussing Ser Jon Roxton's history from George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood. So if you want to avoid spoilers, this is your warning. With that said, let's get started. If you've been watching House of the Dragon recently, you may have heard a name that's becoming increasingly important: Ser Jon Roxton. At first, he doesn't seem like the kind of character who will change the course of the war. He isn't a dragon rider, he isn't a king, he doesn't command one of the largest armies in Westeros. Yet, fans of Fire and Blood know, Ser Jon Roxton eventually becomes one of the most dangerous and controversial knights in the entire Dance of the Dragons. So, who exactly is he? Why is he so feared? And why do book readers believe his biggest moments are still ahead? Let's break it all down. Ser Jon Roxton is the head of House Roxton, a noble family from the Reach, one of the richest and most powerful regions in Westeros. Although House Roxton isn't as famous as the Starks, Lannisters, or Targaryens, it has existed for centuries and has produced respected warriors and loyal bannermen. When the civil war known as the Dance of the Dragons begins, Jon Roxton chooses to support King Aegon II Targaryen and the Green faction. That decision immediately places him in the middle of one of the bloodiest wars in the history of the Seven Kingdoms. But Jon Roxton isn't remembered simply because he picked a side. He's remembered because of the weapon he carries, a legendary Valyrian steel sword called Orphan Maker. Even among the many famous swords of Westeros, Orphan Maker stands out. Its name alone tells you everything you need to know. This isn't a weapon associated with honor or mercy. It's a sword connected with tragedy, death, and the brutal reality of war. Like all Valyrian steel blades, Orphan Maker is incredibly rare. Forged before the doom of Valyria, it's lighter than ordinary steel, stronger than almost any weapon, and capable of cutting through armor with frightening ease. Owning a Valyrian steel sword automatically makes Jon Roxton one of the most dangerous knights on any battlefield. Unlike many knights in Westeros, Jon Roxton isn't portrayed as a shining hero. He's ambitious, confident, sometimes arrogant, and often willing to embrace violence when others hesitate. He's the kind of warrior who doesn't simply survive battles, he thrives in them. That's one reason many readers consider him one of the boldest fighters in Fire and Blood. He doesn't wait for opportunities, he creates them. As the Dance of the Dragon spreads across Westeros, Jon Roxton repeatedly proves himself in battle. He's aggressive, fearless, and highly skilled with Orphan Maker. But George R.R. Martin doesn't write him as a perfect hero. Instead, Jon represents something much darker: the way war transforms even celebrated knights into men capable of terrible decisions. Throughout the dance, the lines between hero and villain become increasingly blurred. Jon Roxton is one of the clearest examples of that theme. Another reason fans are excited about his introduction is because of what lies ahead. Without revealing every major event, book readers know Jon Roxton becomes involved in some of the most dramatic confrontations during the later stages of the dance. His loyalty will be tested, his reputation will grow, and several moments involving Orphan Maker have become legendary among readers of Fire and Blood. If the television series follows the source material closely, audiences haven't even seen his most memorable scenes yet. One fascinating detail about Jon is that he represents the traditional Westerosi knight. Unlike dragon riders, his power doesn't come from flying across the skies. It comes from training, discipline, experience, and his sword. During the Dance of the Dragons, it's easy to believe dragons decide everything. But George R.R. Martin constantly reminds readers that wars are ultimately won and lost by people, knights, commanders, soldiers, and the difficult choices they make. Jon Roxton embodies that idea perfectly. There's also something symbolic about Orphan Maker itself. Many Valyrian steel swords have names that inspire hope: Ice, Blackfire, Dark Sister. But Orphan Maker is different. Its name almost predicts the suffering that follows wherever it's drawn. Every battle fought during the dance creates more widows, more broken families, and more children left without parents. In many ways, the sword becomes a symbol of the entire civil war, a conflict where victory comes at an unbearable cost. If you've only watched House of the Dragon, you might wonder why book readers have been talking about Jon Roxton for so long. The answer is simple. George R.R. Martin rarely introduces a skilled warrior carrying a famous Valyrian steel sword without giving that character an important role later. History has shown that characters like Jaime Lannister, Arthur Dayne, Barristan Selmy, and Criston Cole become unforgettable because of both their fighting ability and the moral choices they make. Jon Roxton follows that same tradition. He's much more than another knight in armor. He's a character whose decisions will influence the fate of others around him. Many fans also believe Jon Roxton will become one of the standout fighters of future seasons. Not because he rides a dragon, but because every battlefield needs heroes and anti-heroes who fight on the ground. While dragons dominate the skies, knights like Jon determine what happens once armies finally clash face to face. That balance between dragons and ordinary warriors has always been one of the greatest strengths of George R.R. Martin's storytelling. There's another reason viewers should pay close attention to Jon Roxton. House of the Dragon has consistently expanded smaller characters from Fire and Blood, giving them richer personalities, deeper motivations, and emotional arcs that weren't fully explored in the book. We've already seen this happen with characters like Alicent Hightower, Aemon Targaryen, and several members of the Black and Green factions. If the writers take the same approach with Jon Roxton, audiences may discover a far more layered character than they expect. Instead of simply being remembered as a formidable swordsman, he could become one of the most morally complex figures introduced during the later stages of the dance. So, who is Ser Jon Roxton? He's the Lord of House Roxton, the master of the legendary Valyrian steel sword Orphan Maker, a fearless green supporter, and one of the boldest knights to fight in the Dance of the Dragons. He may not ride a dragon, he may not wear a crown, but don't underestimate him. Because in George R.R. Martin's world, sometimes a single knight with a legendary sword can change history just as much as a dragon soaring across the sky. And if House of the Dragon stays true to Fire and Blood, Ser Jon Roxton's biggest moments are still waiting to come. So, what do you think? Will Ser Jon Roxton become one of the breakout characters of House of the Dragon? Or do you think another knight will steal the spotlight as the Dance of the Dragons reaches its most devastating chapters? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more House of the Dragon explainers, character breakdowns, hidden details, and everything from the world of A Song of Ice and Fire.